What's wrong with this watch? And the reason I ask what's wrong with this watch is because that's the exact question I ask myself whenever I go shopping for a watch, whether it's a micro brand or a mainstream major brand. Now, to most of us, it's very easy to see what's right about a watch. In other words, what catches our attention. That's a given. That's why we get interested in a particular piece. But when it comes to finding faults in a watch, usually we try to justify them. Say, look, I can live with this and I can live with that, and that's quite normal. Nevertheless, this particular watch I have in my hands here, it's an interesting piece because Wyze didn't actually contact me to review this watch. I contacted them because I was surfing the internet the other day and I actually stumbled onto this accidentally, and I looked at the images on the website and I thought, gee, I really like this. I actually like the look of this. There's something about this, it's giving me some sort of vintage King Seiko vibes or vintage Rolex Air King, and with that subtle creamy patina and that brown saddle leather strap, I just think it all complements each other. Now, the reason I said what's wrong with this watch is because I'm actually struggling to find faults in this. And if I was to get a $100 watch on the channel and find 10 or 15 faults, you'd probably say that's an objective review, well done. But if I get a $700 watch on the channel like this and I struggle to find faults, people usually start to question. I'm not talking subjectively any faults, whether you don't like this or don't like that. I'm talking objectively, technically, materials used. Let's check this thing out. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again, micro brands are getting better. The quality, the finishing, what you're getting, your bang for your buck, I think they're starting to step up their act and supply not just off the shelf stuff, not just this case, these hands, this movement, just slap it together, but as an overall package, I think they're starting to offer unique looks, particular styles, and the proof is in the pudding. Because what I've got in my hand, I've had it on the wrist for about a week. It's been extremely enjoyable, very classic, very vintage, like I said, King Seiko style. You know, the minute you look down at your wrist, you get this initial vibe of Rolex Air King of old. I can see there's some inspiration from the past, but the materials used are modern. And diving straight into this, you can look at the specs. I measure a case diameter of 39mm with a lug-to-lug of 47. That case height, I measure exactly 8.7mm. And if you add the box dome sapphire crystal, it's 11.4. So ideally, this watch sits really well on the wrist. The crown I measure at 6.3mm. It's a conical crown. It's a signed screw-down crown. It's made of the same Adamascus steel as that case. And the watch offers 100 meters of water resistance. And the total weight on this leather strap comes in at exactly 67 grams. Now on the wrist, it's a no-brainer. As you can see, the footprint at 39mm, this is going to sit superb. And I did say that height, 8.7mm case, that box sapphire crystal, no brainer. So it's a wonderful looking piece. It's got that really nice old 70s feel, especially with that sapphire crystal. The leather strap that this comes on is also a saddle brown, very nice, beautiful stitching and taper, and even that clasp, that tang buckle, as you can see, the same Adamascus steel. So the comfort, it's a unique look. I've had a unique look, and being Adamascus, you can see it's polished and brushed. So it's picking up the light in different scenarios, but at the same time giving you that unique look that Adamascus steel does. And I did say at the start that micro brands seem to be improving their quality, and this leather strap is also a step up. You can see the stitching is fantastic. It's actually really, really malleable. Nicely done. Genuine leather, you can smell it. The tang buckle again is of excellent quality with the same Adamascus steel, and it's signed. Now if I turn the watch over, you can see that we've got an exhibition case back, and again that's a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. And behind that sapphire we've got the Miyota 9019. And I did say it's regulated because I've put this on the time grapher and it's running exactly at +1 second, flat line. And in usage, it's literally been spot on. It's gained a second here or there every second day. Really enjoyable experience. I've not had to use that crown all week. Now I mentioned that the watch comes in at under $1,000. In fact, this is $700. And if you look at Wyze's website, they usually got some sort of a deal going, like where you get $35 off your first order or something along those lines. So check them out, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Now looking closer at that dial, you can see you've got a silver sunburst dial, very clean layout, a framed date complication at the 6, and probably the first thing that you've noticed is that light old radium X1 Superluminova. It's got a very subtle creamy patina, and I think it's just enough to set this watch off to give it that character to complement that case. And so many times I've heard in the comments where people say, oh, I don't like faux patina. I get it. I do. I get it. I understand. It's got its place. And with this particular watch, they've actually got 4 different models. From what I see on their website, they've got a black, a blue, a silver like this one, and a silver with a patina. The rest of the watches have standard lume. This particular one has got the light old radium. So giving the choice to the end user, the consumer, I think they've done really well. And me, I like this. I actually contacted them and said, send this out please, I want to have a look at it. And I'm glad they've sent it out because this watch has not disappointed throughout the week. Now if I turn my attention to that box sapphire crystal, very vintage, very old school. It's got the subtlest of domes at the top, but overall it looks pretty flat. It does look like a vintage King Seiko. It is giving you those vibes on the wrist, albeit that case finishing with the Damascus steel is bringing it into the modern era. Now I did mention that the crown is a 6.3mm conical crown, and for me personally I do not like conical crowns. I've got an Omega Aquaterra and that's got a conical crown. I hate it. I love the watch but I don't like the crown. But on this particular unit they've done it right. And the reason I say that is because number one, it's 6.3mm at the edge, but it tapers in and it's inset into the case. It's just enough so that it's actually usable and grabbable, which has been fantastic. As you can see, it's popped out. 2 clicks, we hack the movement. We can adjust the time to where we want. Away you go. The hand winding experience of that Miyota has been also nice, and the latch down experience with all the Wise watches. First time, it latches on perfectly. You've got your 100 meters of water resistance. Now, where are the negatives of this watch? Well, for me, I did say at the beginning, I'm struggling to find the negatives. That's why I said what's wrong with this watch. Well, honestly, on a technical standpoint, everything works. Everything seems to work really well. If I really have to nitpick on a technical standpoint, I'd say that date window, it's framed and also a little bit deep. So reading that date in certain lighting situations can present a bit of a challenge. Also, being a sunburst silver dial with that handset, you might find legibility occasionally in certain lighting situations. You might have to look twice. Next, the lume being light old radium X1, it's not the brightest. It's got a light bluey green glow, potentially not as good as the standard lume, but then again, this is more sports, dressy orientated, a generalized looking watch. It's not a diver, and overall I think the lume is doing a great job regardless. But as far as usability goes, as far as practicality, this has been a joy. This has been a real unique experience on the wrist, unique look I should say on the wrist. The way it looks on the wrist, and they've also supplied the watch, which surprised me, with a second leather strap, a calfskin black leather. And just throwing it on that, it's also changed the look of the watch, which has been ideal. For me, what drew me to this watch when I saw it on the internet was the actual faux patina, that light old radium X1, as well as that brown leather strap. I just think it just seemed to work, and in the hand, I'll tell you what, a very good quality product. With all the Wise watches that I've had on the channel, the majority of you guys seem to agree and say, look, the watches are fantastic. They're built well, executed really nicely. One of the biggest complaints that I've had in my comment section has been about that logo. To do something with that logo rather than just printed, potentially, just to elevate their watches. Apart from that, I think they're finishing, their quality, they've really executed these timepieces nicely. And for me, what I'm seeing is a company that's established in 2008. So this micro brand's roughly 15 years old, producing watches from Thailand, but the quality is exceptional. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Let me know what you think about this watch. It's the Wise Damascus AD7. This particular one is the AD770. They've got 3 or 4 different colorways. Check them out. I'll leave the links in the description. I was looking for faults. When I saw it, the first thing that I noticed was it looks great. Let me get it in the hands, and you know what? Struggling to find any real serious faults. It's not a perfect watch for many people. Those watches do not exist, but as a generalized unique looking piece with a particular vibe of vintage King Seiko, I think it's managed to capture some of the spirit of the past and deliver it not only with quality finishing, but build and finesse to match. Thanks again for watching. Be well and be safe. And until the next one, make sure you wear a watch every single day and enjoy this hobby. Thanks again.